What if everything we knew about history was incomplete? What if buried beneath centuries of dust and stone lay objects that shouldn't have existed, artifacts that whispered of knowledge we'd somehow forgotten? Across the world, archaeologists unearthed discoveries that refused to fit into our timeline, objects so strange they forced us to question what we thought we knew about the past. Today, we're diving into 6 of the most baffling finds that challenged our understanding of history itself. And the third one will shake everything you thought was true. Peru, 1960s. A physician named Javier Cabrera received an unusual gift, a stone covered in strange carvings. The images were puzzling, humans alongside creatures that looked remarkably like dinosaurs. He dismissed it at first, just a curiosity from a patient. But more stones arrived, dozens, then hundreds, until his collection grew to thousands. Each one was carved with impossible scenes, ancient surgeries using advanced instruments, humans riding prehistoric beasts, celestial observations that suggested deep astronomical knowledge. The stones were andesite, a volcanic rock notoriously difficult to carve. Geologists who examined them found a patina, a natural aging layer that typically took centuries to form. Yet the images themselves defied everything we knew about human history. Dinosaurs died out 65 million years ago, long before humans walked the earth. So how could anyone have carved these scenes unless they'd witnessed them? Skeptics argued the stones must have been modern forgeries created by locals hoping to profit from tourists. In 1996, a farmer even confessed to making some of them. But here's where doubt crept back in. The sheer number of stones, over 15,000 hours, would have required decades of constant work. And some were discovered in ancient tombs, sealed for centuries before modern humans could have touched them. Scientists remained divided, caught between 2 impossible possibilities. Either these were elaborate hoaxes or they represented something far stranger, evidence of knowledge that shouldn't have existed. The stones sat in museums now, silent and enigmatic, holding secrets no one could quite unlock. Every carving raised the same haunting question. What did the creators know that we'd forgotten? Ohio, USA. From the ground, it looked like nothing more than rolling hills, gentle curves in the landscape shaped by time and weather. But from the air, everything changed. A massive earthwork emerged. A serpent stretching over 400 meters across the land, its body coiling in perfect, deliberate curves. The Great Serpent Mound rose from the earth like a creature frozen mid-movement. Its head pointed toward the summer solstice sunset, its coils aligned with lunar cycles, its tail marked the winter solstice sunrise. For a structure built more than 2,000 years ago, the astronomical precision was staggering. The builders had no modern instruments, no satellites, no compasses. Yet they created something that tracked the heavens with flawless accuracy. Archaeologists struggled to date it precisely. Some evidence pointed to around 1000 BCE, placing it with the Adena culture. Other tests suggested it might have been even older, perhaps 5,000 years old, which would have made it one of North America's most ancient monuments. But age wasn't the only mystery. The serpent's purpose remained unknown. Was it ceremonial, a burial site, an ancient calendar tracking seasons and celestial events? No one could say for certain. What was clear was the effort required to build it. Thousands of workers moving basket after basket of earth, shaping the landscape by hand, guided by knowledge we could barely comprehend. And there was something else, something researchers rarely mentioned. Some of the serpent's curves appeared to point toward astronomical events that occurred only once every few centuries. Did the builders somehow predict these occurrences? Or did they possess records from an earlier time, knowledge passed down through generations? Visitors walked along its length today, tracing its ancient curves with modern eyes. The longer you observed it, the more questions arose. Questions about who these people were, what they knew, and what else they might have left behind, waiting to be discovered. Scandinavia, medieval times. Vikings ruled the northern seas, feared warriors sailing in longboats, conquering distant lands with superior weapons and tactics. Among their most prized possessions were swords marked with a single word, Ulfberht. These weren't ordinary blades. They were forged from crucible steel, a material so pure and strong it wouldn't appear in Europe again until the Industrial Revolution, 800 years later. Modern metallurgists examined Ulfberht swords with electron microscopes and spectrometers. What they found shocked them. The steel contained very little slag, almost none of the impurities that plagued medieval metalwork. Creating this required temperatures of at least 1,500 degrees Celsius and techniques for removing carbon and other impurities, methods that shouldn't have existed in Viking Age Europe. Over 170 Ulfberht swords had been discovered across Europe, spanning roughly 200 years from 800 to 1000 CE. Each one bore the same inscription, the same mysterious signature. But here's what deepened the puzzle. Not all Ulfberht swords were created equal. Some were genuine masterpieces of metallurgy. Others were cruder imitations, counterfeits made by smiths trying to replicate something they didn't fully understand. This suggested the original technique was rare, perhaps known to only a few master craftsmen. But where did they learn it? Some historians proposed the steel was imported from the Middle East or Central Asia, regions where advanced metallurgy flourished earlier. Yet no trade records documented such exchanges, and the inscription itself was distinctly European. Others suggested a lone genius, a blacksmith centuries ahead of his time, who discovered these techniques through experimentation. But if so, why did the knowledge vanish so completely after the Viking Age ended? The swords remained in museums now, still sharp after a millennium, their edges barely dulled by time. They stood as silent testimony to capabilities that shouldn't have existed, to knowledge that appeared briefly and then disappeared, leaving only questions behind. Crete, 1908. Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernier brushed dust from ruins at the ancient palace of Phaistos. His team had uncovered pottery, frescoes, and fragments of Minoan civilization. Then, his hand touched something different. A clay disc, roughly 15 centimeters across, covered entirely with stamped symbols. He lifted it carefully into the light. Both sides were spiraling with 241 characters arranged in 61 groups, each symbol pressed into soft clay before firing. The images were clear: human figures, animals, plants, tools, and geometric shapes. They spiraled from the outer edge toward the center, reading direction still debated among scholars. What made the disc extraordinary wasn't just the symbols themselves, but how they were created. Each character was stamped using individual seals, making this potentially the world's oldest example of movable type, predating Gutenberg's printing press by 3,400 years. Yet no other examples of this printing technique existed from ancient Crete. No other Minoan artifacts used these symbols. The disc stood alone, unique and unexplained. Linguists spent over a century trying to decipher it. Some believed it was a prayer or hymn, others a calendar, a game board, or even an ancient story. More than 30 different interpretations had been proposed, but none proven. The symbols didn't match any known ancient language, and without other examples to compare, translation remained impossible. Skeptics questioned whether the disc was authentic, suggesting it might have been a modern forgery, but extensive testing confirmed its age, and its discovery context was well documented. The disc was real, ancient, and utterly mysterious. Some theorists proposed an unsettling possibility. Perhaps the disc came from elsewhere, brought to Crete by travelers from a civilization that left no other trace. Or perhaps it represented a lost branch of human development, a culture that mastered writing and printing before vanishing from history entirely. The disc rested in a museum in Heraklion now, turning slowly on display, its spiral of symbols still speaking in a language no living person understood. Delhi, India. Rising over 7 meters tall in the Qutb complex stood an iron pillar, unremarkable at first glance, just another monument in a city filled with ancient wonders. But approach closer, run your hand along its surface, and you'd notice something impossible. After more than 1 in 600 years exposed to rain, humidity, and scorching sun, the pillar hadn't rusted. Not significantly, While other iron structures corroded within decades, this pillar remained nearly pristine, its surface smooth and intact. Metallurgists studied it extensively, taking samples, analyzing its composition under microscopes. What they discovered defied conventional understanding. The iron was exceptionally pure, containing very low levels of sulfur and phosphorus, impurities that typically accelerated corrosion. But purity alone didn't explain it. The pillar also contained trace amounts of phosphorus that had created a thin protective coating, a miso-white layer just 1/20th of a millimeter thick. This coating formed a barrier against moisture and oxygen, preventing rust from taking hold. Here's what made it remarkable. Creating such pure iron in the 4th century CE, when the pillar was forged, required techniques that seemed impossibly advanced. The phosphorus had to be present in precise amounts. Too little and no protection formed. Too much, and the iron became brittle. Modern metallurgists tried replicating the process, but achieving the same results consistently remained elusive. The pillar bore a Sanskrit inscription praising King Chandragupta II, describing his victories and virtues. But the text revealed nothing about the craftsmen who forged it, nothing about their techniques or knowledge. That information vanished with them, lost to time. Engineers today marveled at what ancient Indian smiths achieved. 6 tons of iron welded together in an era before modern tools, shaped into a pillar that had outlasted empires. Some argued it was simply masterful craftsmanship, the peak of ancient Indian metallurgy. Others wondered if it represented knowledge now lost, techniques once understood and later forgotten as civilizations rose and fell. The pillar stood silent, enduring, a testament to human capability that challenged our assumptions about the past. The North Atlantic, Viking Age. Storms raged across open water, clouds obscured the sun for days, and navigation became nearly impossible. Yet Viking sailors crossed thousands of miles of ocean, reaching Iceland, Greenland, and even North America centuries before Columbus. How did they navigate when the sun disappeared? Ancient sagas mentioned a mysterious sunstone, a crystal that could locate the sun even through thick clouds or fog. For centuries, historians dismissed this as myth, poetic embellishment in old stories. Then, in 2013, researchers made an astonishing discovery. A calcite crystal found aboard a sunken Elizabethan warship buried for 500 years. Tests revealed something remarkable. Calcite, a transparent crystal found naturally in Scandinavia, exhibited a property called birefringence. It split light into 2 beams. When rotated under cloudy skies, the crystal created patterns that changed based on the sun's position, even when the sun itself was hidden. By observing these patterns, navigators could determine the sun's location to within a few degrees, accurate enough for ocean navigation. Scientists tested this hypothesis using computer simulations and practical experiments. They found that even on completely overcast days, when no visible light from the sun penetrated, calcite crystals could still detect polarized light scattered through the atmosphere, pinpointing the sun's direction. The accuracy was stunning. Navigators using sunstones could maintain course across the Atlantic with remarkable precision. But questions remained. Why didn't more crystals appear in Viking archaeological sites? Why wasn't their use documented more explicitly in surviving texts? Perhaps sunstones were precious, kept by experienced navigators and passed down carefully. Perhaps the knowledge was oral, taught from master to apprentice, never written down. Or perhaps we simply hadn't looked in the right places yet. The Vikings left behind ships, settlements, and artifacts scattered across the North Atlantic. But they also left mysteries, hints of technologies and techniques that vanished with their culture, waiting for modern science to rediscover what they once knew.